In our contemporary world, where human relationships seem increasingly superficial, we have reached a paradoxical point. Feigning sincerity or simulating love has become one of the most sophisticated forms of manipulation. The renowned psychologist Carl Jung explained this brilliantly when he spoke of the persona, that social mask we all wear, that artificial face we show to the external world while hiding our true intentions. It is especially painful when someone uses this mask to make you believe that they love you or genuinely care about you. The disappointment can be devastating when we place our trust in people who only show these masks. The human heart is vulnerable by nature, and when we emotionally surrender ourselves to someone who is only playing a role, the consequences can mark us deeply. That is why today I want to share with you some thoughts on how to discern if someone truly loves you. What are the telltale signs you should observe, and what patterns deserve your attention? Let's start with a situation we have all experienced: difficult moments. When we go through serious problems, the other person's attitude can reveal much about the depth of their feelings. Imagine you are facing a crisis. It could be work-related, familial, or personal, and you share your distress with someone close to you. If that person responds only with technical advice or practical solutions, telling you should do this or I would do that in your place, without emotionally connecting with you, you are probably experiencing an incomplete or superficial love. In contrast, when someone truly loves you, their response has a completely distinct nuance. They will say phrases like, "I understand what you're going through. We are going to find a solution together," or "You are not alone in this. We are a team." Even if they objectively cannot solve your problem, their emotional presence creates a space where you feel understood and accompanied. This subtle, profound difference reveals much about the quality of the bond. Authentic love has another fundamental characteristic: the positive interpretation of the other's intentions. In any relationship, misunderstandings or ambiguous situations arise. Your partner arrives late to an important date. They forget something you asked for, or they don't respond to a message when you expected it. Facing these situations, a person who genuinely loves you will tend to first seek favorable explanations. Surely they had a setback. They must be busy with something important. Perhaps they didn't receive my message. This predisposition to think well of the other reveals a love that is not constantly on the defensive. Conversely, when someone always assumes the worst of you, interpreting every ambiguous action from distrust or suspicion, especially in the early stages of the relationship when everything should be brighter, you are facing a worrying sign. As Jung explained, many times these negative interpretations are projections of that person's own unresolved fears or insecurities. An aspect we often underestimate in relationships is the role played by our families of origin. It is no coincidence that the saying exists: when you marry someone, you also marry their family. Our family ties, however healthy or complicated they may be, form a significant part of our identity and therefore inevitably influence our romantic relationships. In this context, the way your partner relates to your family can be a powerful indicator of true love. It is not necessary for them to adore your parents or have a perfect relationship with your siblings, although that would certainly be ideal. What is truly significant is that out of respect and love for you, they make a genuine effort to maintain cordial relationships with those who are important in your life, even when that requires certain sacrifices or adaptations. Let's think about concrete situations. Perhaps your mother has a strong personality, or your father is excessively protective, or maybe your siblings are somewhat invasive. A person who truly loves you will understand that these ties are part of who you are and will find constructive ways to navigate these dynamics without making you feel guilty about them. They may not enjoy every family gathering, but they will value these encounters because they understand their importance to you. Conversely, if your partner constantly blames you for your family's behavior, if they reproach you for situations that are beyond your control, or if they pressure you to break important bonds without a justified reason, we are facing an alarm signal. As Jung pointed out, often what happens in these cases is a psychological projection. The person is depositing their own unresolved internal conflicts onto your family, using them as scapegoats to avoid facing their own problems. It is not natural and even expected that at the beginning of a relationship, we want to show our best version. We all go through that phase where we try a little harder. We are more attentive, more considerate, more patient. However, this stage should naturally evolve toward shared authenticity, where both can show themselves as they are, with their virtues and their flaws, without fear of rejection. The alarm signal appears when, after this initial stage, the other person continues to use emotional manipulation strategies. Perhaps they punish you with distance when you show more interest. Maybe they play with your insecurities to keep you in a state of constant uncertainty, or possibly they use techniques like hot and cold, moments of great closeness, abruptly followed by periods of inexplicable coldness. These behaviors reveal that the person is more interested in controlling the relationship than in building a genuine bond. Mature and healthy relationships do not require these psychological tactics. In authentic love, there is comforting transparency. You can be yourself without fear, and you can clearly understand the other person's feelings and expectations. There are no mind games, no contradictory messages, and no need to constantly decipher what the other person wants or feels. If you frequently find yourself confused, exhaustively analyzing every word or gesture, constantly asking yourself where you stand in the relationship, it is time to question whether you are experiencing true love or a sophisticated form of manipulation. In every human relationship, differences and conflicts are inevitable. Two people, however compatible they may be, will eventually face disagreements, misunderstandings, or simply divergent perspectives on various aspects of life. What is revealing is not the existence of these conflicts, but how we feel during these moments of tension and how the couple manages them. If during a disagreement you feel a deep fear of expressing your point of view because you fear that the other person will abandon you or withdraw their affection, we are facing a problematic pattern. This fear generally does not arise from nowhere. It has been cultivated, perhaps unconsciously, by your partner's attitude toward previous conflicts. Perhaps they have used veiled threats of abandonment, withdrawn their affection as punishment, or insinuated that your disagreement is a proof that the relationship is not working. Particularly worrying is when, during every discussion, even the most trivial ones, your partner threatens to end the relationship or talks about separation. This behavior creates an environment of chronic insecurity where you, to avoid that dreaded outcome, end up yielding on important issues or repressing your legitimate needs. Over time, people in healthy relationships should feel increasingly secure in the bond, trusting that a disagreement does not threaten the continuity of the relationship. If instead of that growing security you experience a constant fear of abandonment, it is important to recognize that you are facing an unhealthy dynamic. True love has a particular quality that we could describe as a sense of team. When two people genuinely love each other, there is a deep perception of being together facing life, of walking in the same direction, of facing challenges as a unit. As Carl Jung beautifully expressed, in an authentic relationship, we connect beyond our social masks, meeting at a deeper and truer level. This dimension of companionship is, perhaps surprisingly for some, even more fundamental to the longevity of a relationship than physical attraction or sexual compatibility. Desire naturally fluctuates over time, but that feeling of being in the same boat, of being unconditional allies, provides a solid foundation that can sustain the relationship through multiple crises and transformations. A person who truly loves you makes your life lighter, not heavier. They make small and large sacrifices for your well-being without keeping track of them. And you do the same for them naturally, without feeling like you're losing something in the process. It is not about a calculated exchange of favors, but about a natural generosity that flows in both directions. In contrast to this team dynamic, some relationships are characterized by constant competition. I am not referring here to healthy competition in games or recreational activities, which can be stimulating and fun, but to an underlying ego struggle. These are relationships where each member of the couple seems more interested in winning arguments than in finding solutions, where there is a constant need to demonstrate intellectual or moral superiority. Jung explained this phenomenon from a deep psychological perspective. When a person is unwilling to confront their own insecurities and vulnerabilities, they often seek to compensate for these indeficiencies by dominating their partner. It is a defensive mechanism that reveals internal fragility, not strength. True love does not need to establish hierarchies or constantly prove who is right. Couples who love authentically complement each other, celebrate their differences, and use their individual strengths for mutual benefit, not to establish power dynamics. If you perceive constant competition, a need for your partner to minimize your achievements, or to feel threatened by your success, you are likely facing a sign that the ego is interfering with genuine love. Healthy relationships are characterized by shared joy in the other's growth, not by resentment or insecurity. A revealing indicator of the place you occupy in someone's life is manifested when that person talks about their future. Imagine this scene. You have been in a relationship that you consider significant for several months or perhaps a year. One day, talking calmly, your partner enthusiastically begins to share their plans and dreams. I want to start this business. I am thinking of moving to another city. I would like to travel for a whole year. The revealing thing is that in this entire narrative of the future, you do not appear anywhere. If, when you finally ask, "Where do I fit into these plans?" you receive a vague or improvised answer, as if your inclusion were an afterthought and not an integral part of the vision, you are receiving valuable information about the depth of that person's commitment to you. True love naturally projects a shared future. It considers your dreams and aspirations as equally important and actively seeks to create a life plan where both can grow and thrive. It is not about every personal project necessarily including the other, nor about individuality dissolving in the relationship. Rather, it is about a natural consideration. When you truly love someone, that person becomes part of your vital horizon. Their desires, needs, and dreams are relevant factors in your own life decisions, not out of obligation, but out of the genuine desire to build a path together. There is another subtle but profoundly significant sign that reveals the place you occupy in someone's life. Who do they turn to first when something important happens in their life? When a person receives momentous news, whether extraordinarily good, like an unexpected job promotion, or painfully difficult, like the illness of a loved one, their immediate impulse is to share it with the most significant people in their life. If you are consistently the first person your partner calls to share their joys and seek comfort in their sorrows, this unequivocally reveals that you occupy a central place in their emotional universe, traditionally after parents, and sometimes even before them. The partner is usually the circle of emotional intimacy. If your partner places you in that privileged space of trust and vulnerability, it is a powerful sign that they truly see you as their life partner. Conversely, if you usually find out about important events in your partner's life through third parties or days after they happened, or if it seems that many other people take priority over you when it comes to sharing significant news, this could indicate that the emotional connection is not as deep as you might desire or expect. Emotional transparency is another fundamental indicator of authentic love. A person who truly loves you allows themselves to be vulnerable with you, showing you both their light and their shadow. You can clearly perceive their emotional states. Their joy is evident and contagious, their sadness manifests without pretension, and their anger, although unpleasant at the moment, is expressed directly and respectfully. In contrast, emotionally unavailable people, or those who maintain significant barriers, usually operate from the being fear. They fear showing themselves completely, revealing their insecurities, or simply being authentic. As a result, their emotions always seem contained, measured, or even false. There is a constant feeling that they are hiding something, not necessarily out of malice, but out of a deep fear of real intimacy. Jung explained it masterfully. As long as you continue to interact only with someone's mask or persona and not with their true self, the relationship will remain on a superficial level. Authentic love requires that both people be willing to remove, at least partially, these social masks and show themselves authentically, with all the imperfections and vulnerabilities that implies. It is important to clarify that these signs do not constitute absolute rules or function as an infallible checklist. Human relationships are complex, nuanced, and deeply individual. What I have tried to share are patterns that I have repeatedly observed in healthy, and unhealthy relationships, offering you a guide to reflect on your own experiences. Furthermore, this reflection would not be complete without a moment of personal introspection. Sometimes in our search to identify problematic patterns in others, we overlook our own contributions to relational dynamics. Manipulation, emotional control, and lack of authenticity are not behaviors exclusive to others. We are all susceptible to falling into these behaviors, especially when we act from fear or insecurity. Ask yourself honestly, are you showing these signs of authentic love in your own relationships? Do you emotionally support your partner during difficult times? Do you positively interpret their actions when there is ambiguity? Do you respect and accommodate their family ties? Do you avoid power games and manipulation? Do you naturally include them in your vision of the future? Do you share your deepest joys and sorrows? Do you allow yourself to be emotionally transparent? Self-knowledge is an essential component of mature love. As Jung suggested, only to the extent that we know and accept our own shadows can we relate authentically with others. The inner work we do not only benefits ourselves, but lays the foundation for deeper, honest, and satisfying relationships. Ultimately, true love is not a passive state or an ethereal feeling. It is a daily practice, a constantly renewed decision, an active commitment to mutual well-being and growth. Sometimes it is easy and fluid, other times it requires conscious effort and sacrifice, but it is always, invariably, a path worth traveling. These reflections I have shared with you are born both from personal observations and deep psychological principles. I hope they help you navigate your own relationships with greater clarity and awareness, recognizing both the signs of authentic love, as well as the warnings of potentially harmful dynamics. Now I would love to hear about your personal experience. What signs have you identified in people who truly love? What have you learned in your own relationships about authentic love? What patterns have you noticed that you initially mistook for love, but turned out to be something else? Your unique perspective can illuminate aspects of this topic, which is so universal, yet so personal. Every story, every experience, every learning you share enriches our collective understanding of that profound mystery we call love. Through honest dialogue and shared reflection, we all grow in our capacity to give and receive authentic love. I thank you deeply for dedicating your time and attention to these reflections. Your presence and consideration are truly valuable to me. I hope these ideas resonate with you in some meaningful way and accompany you on your own path of self-knowledge and genuine connection with others. Take great care, beautiful soul. May you find people on your path who love you with the depth and authenticity you deserve, and may you yourself cultivate that capacity to truly love, beyond the masks, beyond the fear, from that place of truth that we all carry within.